Here are some of the best Lincoln pennies sold at Heritage's Central States $26 million U.S. coins auction. The 1970 S double-die obverse cent hides its drama in plain sight. The doubling is strongest across "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," while the date shows a subtler echo, enough to distinguish the variety without overwhelming the design. This gem red example retains smooth, satiny copper gold luster and strong overall eye appeal. Only a small nick on Lincoln's neck and a few tiny field marks limit the grade to MS65 red, which saw it soar to a closing price at auction of $4,148. In 1931, Depression-era America had little need for new cents. Most of Denver's modest 4.48 million piece mintage sat largely idle in treasury vaults, and collectors struggled to even obtain current issues in circulation. As the economy improved in 1934 and 1935, large quantities entered circulation. The low mintage soon drew speculators, helping to create one of the earliest markets for trading in full rolls of coins. You can easily imagine this exceptional coin, graded as MS66 red by NGC, being one of those. It sold here at auction for $3,416. The 1926 Lincoln cent was rarely born sharp. A near-fatal combination of worn dies, inconsistent steel, poor planchets, and possibly improper die spacing, not to mention slipping standards at the mint, left much of the issue softly defined. This coin escaped all of that. The strike is razor-sharp, with soft coppery red surfaces framed by scarlet halos and virtually no visible abrasions, borne out by a grade of MS67 plus red by PCGS, and a final price at auction of $4,148. The 1943 S steel cent is familiar in concept. A single-year emergency issue struck in an unusual metal, but almost never encountered at grade levels like this. In MS68, its satin luster becomes the story. Frost-white surfaces, sharp motifs, and a faint trace of reflectivity across the reverse fields. PCGS reports only 6 finer from the San Francisco Mint issue, and when it crossed the auction block, it found a new home for the price of a fantastic $4,758. For 2 decades, collectors received no new proof Lincoln cents. Their return in 1936 reopened the series, and by 1937 production had risen to 9,320 pieces. Still a small issue from the early years of the revived proof program, but a decent increase from just the previous mintage of 5,569 coins. This example preserves that revival in exceptional form, with a grade of proof 67 red from PCGS. It was bound to attract attention, and bidding finally came to a standstill at $5,124 at auction. In 1957, the mint struck 1,247,952 proof Lincoln cents, continuing a 2-year pattern of production nearly doubling annually. Yet, true cameo examples remain elusive. The contrast was not necessarily intentional either. It appeared on the earliest strikes from incompletely polished dies, before repeated use softened the effect, and often survived only on one side of the coin. Now graded as Proof 68 plus red cameo by PCGS, it is the sole example with the plus designation and was sold at auction for $5,368. Millions of 1939 Lincoln cents survive today from a substantive mintage of over 316 million coins. Almost none survive looking quite like this. At MS68 red, the ordinary becomes the extraordinary. NGC and PCGS report only a dozen examples combined between the two services, with none graded finer at all. Its bold strike, vivid copper-orange luster, and carbon-free surfaces led this coin to a closing price at auction of $5,368. And now it's time for the seemingly obligatory 1909 SVDB entry on the list. As the absolute key issue of the series, it is hardly a surprise to see it here, with a minuscule mintage of only 484,000 coins for this circulating rarity. It became an instant landmark when its designer's initials of VDB were removed from the reverse design shortly after minting began. This MS65 plus red and brown example is exceptionally clean, with a sharp strike and luminous auburn and chestnut surfaces. PCGS certified only 13 at this grade level. It sold at auction for $7,338. The 1914D has long stood as one of the defining keys in the Lincoln cent series. Yet, in the high mint state, its challenge deepens dramatically and is considerably harder to acquire than the considerably more famous 1909 SVDB. This gem red and brown example preserves sharp definition beneath smooth satiny luster, graded as MS65 red and brown by PCGS and approved by CIC. Its closing price at auction was $12,200. In 1955, a Lincoln cent left the mint with one of the most dramatic doubled obverses in American coinage. The error was not caught before the coins entered circulation, although there is some debate on that particular point, to be fair. But, well, that's a topic for a different video. Unlike subtle varieties that require magnification, this one announces itself immediately. That visual force helped to make the 1955 double dice 1 cent one of the most sought-after coins of the 20th century. This beautiful example is graded as MS64 red by PCGS and achieved a closing price at auction of $18,300. In 1922, a slowing economy left little need for new cents, and Denver supplied the nation's entire production for the year. The dies were worked hard through 7.16 million strikes, then repeatedly polished to try and extend their working life, or possibly remove damage as well, until, on one obverse, the D mint mark disappeared altogether. This is the celebrated strong reverse, where the mint mark is fully effaced, but the reverse remains sharply defined. Deep chocolatey brown surfaces is framed by a chestnut red along the devices, with only minor marks from handling. The grade of MS64 brown by PCGS was enough to secure a final bid at auction of $31,720. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch another video about the top 10 low mintage Lincoln cents next. right here. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.